Hello, Great Tex. This is Java the Curious here. But wow, what a video! I wish I was a better speaker because it's like you got to be kidding me, man. You just got I don't know. It's weird considering that 80% of the world, I think that's right, is religious in some sense or another. Once you inherit the wind, you really come down to one conclusion. Not if you're just an atheist, but if you're a naturalist. And that's supernatural is unreal. It's not real. It's just not. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm superstitious as all hell. I think I'm psychic and freaking get weird vibes and everything else. But that's just, maybe that's a cognitive dissonance because I don't really believe in what I perceive, but intellectually, but I do respect what I perceive intuitively. And that makes no sense, but I'm superstitious. But when it comes right down to science and everything else, and everything I've seen, I can't believe in the supernatural, and that means God, Buddha, the Tao, I don't know, the Force. I mean, Vulcan mind melts, gremlins, AD&D monsters, the Sharpas, the karma points, I don't know, Don Juan, Carlos Castaneda, Alien. Well, aliens are different because it's extremely improbable. But aliens and Bigfoot are in a different category because they could possibly be, but the reasons for why there's ever any hard evidence of them, they can't be. But now the supernatural is different. Although a lot of people in those two groups put a lot of supernatural reference into those two things. Aliens are treated like latter-day gremlins or something, or fairies. But fairies, yes, fairies. Oh my God, the fairies. And all the things that go clink-clank in the night. If you really take a hard look at the Bible, you could, and just, everything that you would need CGI for, except if you're portraying something natural, is not real. How can you get around it? You must go through your life at a point and say, okay, I don't believe in shaman healing doctors from South America, or I don't believe in Benny Popple, or that dude that just touches people when they fall down, or I don't think you can sing and make people better or laugh, and I don't know about that. See, I don't believe psychics really help freaking crimes, like Medium, that old show. Or these people who just, I don't know. The hard science is, I kind of tend to feel like that could be possible. But the hard science is that they actually distract from investigations, and it's hurtful. And evolution. If there was divine intent and manifestation, divine agency upon the world, you would have animals that suddenly poofed into existence. And it seems like it because all the ones that suddenly appear, that's pretty freaking weird. Something that's supposed to have been dead for 65 million years goes swimming by a camera. But, there's small pockets that can grow, but that's like Bigfoot again, what's going on there. That's cryptobiology, and then, the whole friggin', sometimes it's really fascinating, though, seeing that sideways swimming shark on YouTube. You can look that up, and that's pretty interesting. But there has to be a plausible, naturalistic reason. Because if you didn't have that, what you would have is suddenly a big finger comes down from big finger comes down of God, and poof, there would be migrations of animals. Even though the stupid, amazing atheist got me blocked because I criticized one of his friends, he came across a very good point that cemented this to me. I mean, that really drove it home. The world is like imagine the world as like a room. Even if something came in from there and came out of there, and you couldn't see the entrance and the exit like a bullet, you would see that it left an effect, and therefore you could trace back to where it came from and where it can't. And that's the point I'm getting at with like animals. If animals were divinely created, like the Bible says, then their migration patterns would be from a specific spot and balloon out, mushroom out, and from there, and there would be all kinds of fossils and tracks. And what about young Earth creationists? Do you believe in young Earth? You know, or was that just something a Pope came up with? You know, I mean, they go back millions of years. Everything seems to have a reasonable reason to be here. And that's why, you know, God gets pushed back into the edges. Now, I met a lot of atheists who aren't naturalists. Some of them are Buddhists, some of them are Wiccan. You know, there's a lot of things that go under atheism. You know, mostly it's political. And you got hacks like that hassle you and stuff. But I mean, I'm actually considering that I'm kind of culturally conservative. I'm a Republican. Even though I'm economically progressive, some of these people are just, you know, I don't know. Well, they mix their politics in with their anti-religious views. And I think it's kind of a religious zeal. I think religion creeps back in. I've said a lot of this in a lot of other videos. But that's why I disagree with all babies are atheists. I think all babies are theists. I think it's something hardwired in our head. Now, what kind of theism? That could take the shape of anything culturally. But we're hardwired to friggin' awe at the lightning. And it only takes something to snap. And it's like a mini death, in a way. All of a sudden you realize, oh God, I live in a tropic universe that I'm only going to be a small part of. And I'm only bigger than the sum of my parts, but the parts will not hold. It's like slouching to Bethlehem. So you see, that's why some atheists are militant, because they got their politics mixed up in it. Or they just see that these things are such cognitive dissonance. You know, I've done another video where I talked about how you could pray for your car to get over the hill, but if the mechanic over the hill happened to magically be there, and he put his hands on your car and said, "You're all better now," you'd think, what the hell, you're full of shit. You know, I'm not paying you anything. So, it all manages to be where and how you pray. Because in one sense, your suspension of disbelief is gone. You know, and I watch so many fantasy and sci-fi shows that it's like, gradually, I started seeing through these things, except maybe the original Star Trek. I don't know. Maybe that's my religion, the original Star Trek. You know, I don't know. But religion creeps back in on you for sure, whatever form it will take. Even if it's just like Buddhism, a non-religion religion, you know. And I just can't put it too clearly that you can look at something and through a series of backward steps, you can deduce anything religious into something naturalistic. And I guess that makes me militant too. I'm not going to go and type blocks or be offended or anything, but that's the way some of us are. It's like, hey, this is important because sometimes people start making policy decisions upon this or influence the law. I'm not so much. I have respect for Christianity for its cultural values, even though I'm a cultural conservative, which is someone who believes in deregulation of society and let them make their own views instead of an authoritarian that would be, a strict, let's build laws to build religion or family values or something like that. I'm more libertarian in cultural side, or paleo-conservative, I guess, culturally. Because, I believe in deregulation, small government. I don't think government has a place doing that. Maybe that's a religious, point for me. So, technically, people like maybe Thunderfoot, or I don't know about Pat Gundell, but they tend to use science. They are rational naturalists. They won't say what they can't prove is still not God. Because they have to stick by that to argue with the theist. Now me, I'm a metaphysical naturalist. And what that means is I don't care if it's the end of time or in the middle of a black hole. Like the movie The Black Hole, where all of a sudden it was heaven and hell and all this shit. It's not going to be God and the devil. It's just not. And that's a form of faith. I guess I could be considered to have a faith of unfaith. And I admit it, because I just don't believe it. And I try to tell my mind that when I'm in the middle of the night and I hear something howl, and it's like, oh shit, werewolf. But rationally, logically, there's no accounting for supernatural at all. Although there is places I won't walk into, and then I don't know how to explain that distance with me. It's just for a person who frigging absolutely does not believe, I don't know. It's just hard to explain. But yeah, things about freaking people belonging to a group just because they want to. Well, maybe. But I don't think it's strictly just because. I mean, how can I approach that? There's a fine nuance of, well, it's partly political. So, it's not just, and that's religion creeping back in. Like I said, all babies are born theists. We all awe at the lightning. But then some of us go, what is that? What is that lightning? Maybe it's something that burns the trees. Maybe it's just like the earthquake and everything else. Maybe it's not God's bowling. The thunder and lightning and thunderstorms. If you look at that, it kind of looks like the sea, except you're under the bottom. I mean, that's when you approach reason. And the more you approach reason, the further mysticism and supernatural and agnosticism, and that whole big argument, fades away. Although in truth, I may be a practicing agnostic, but I can't espouse it. And I can't espouse it because how can it possibly be real? That's what my whole deconversion from being a Lutheran was okay, God's real, the Bible's real. Let me look for this, and the more I looked, the more I realized, wow, it's not. There's no the mounting doubt and evidence led me to inherit the wind. How can you deny? How can you? I can't approach theists on this because they're too indoctrinated. Religion to them is their afterlife insurance. You live a certain way, you take the burden of dying, or you take the burden of death out of dying. You know, whatever you do, you know, you'll be okay. It's like this movie I saw once. I can't remember. It was an old 1950s movie. But it was one of those, like, everybody dressed in pajamas and everyone looked European and stuff. And, you know, and yet it was supposed to be Mesopotamia in 6,000 BC or something, you know, and everyone probably looked like freaking a Jew or an Arab, you know. I mean, or a mixture, you know, Aramaic and stuff. And yet these people are walking around like freaking 14th century freaking Europeans. I mean, you know how bad that gets. And the 50s shows, you know, Cleopatra, or Elizabeth, what's her name? Oh, God, I forgot her name. Oh, well. She died recently. Liz Taylor? Yeah, Liz Taylor. Liz Taylor is Cleopatra, you know. Sure. You know, and it's like, these two couples, they told they could walk away, you know, because they were criminals or something, I guess because they espoused Christianity. And then the tarps come up and the things. But there was like 200 archers, you know, standing around. And it didn't show them getting friggin' pinged with friggin' arrows. No, it showed them just walking off into the sunset. You know, like some stupid Highway to Heaven video or something. It's so emotional. And, you know, someone could say, how could you not believe? Sometimes it's hard. But there's just no way to put the pieces together. There's no way to span the bridge. There's always a lattice loose. Or several things out that you just can't step over. What can you do? There's no way that the supernatural is real. How can you deny it? Work it back. Work it back. Do logical deduction. And you'll see it. I mean, it's just there. It's hard to take. But it's there. I mean, you know. I don't know.